We see a lot of people ranking first commanders, second commanders, but nobody really ranks the third ones. So that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to go through all the Yonko crew's third commanders and we'll see who's like better in what category. Because much like with any other tier list, you probably aren't going to get like a conclusive this person is stronger than everybody else because, you know, there's so many different powers in One Piece. But I'll just go down the list and then afterward we'll like put them in the slots that I think they'll fit in leading up to who I think is the strongest. Starting with Scopper Gaban. I can hear a lot of people saying, oh, but he was on Roger's crew, he's got to be the strongest. All right, let's stop that because we haven't seen anything from this dude. The most we've seen of him is an off-screen fight that he supposedly had with Odin that we, aren't going to say is super serious because Odin wasn't as serious here like he was against Kaida. This is also before Odin joined the Roger Pirates so that he got a lot stronger by the end of that journey. So until I see something like actual from this character, I'm going to put him at the bottom only because we don't have no feats and we ain't got no statements. I'm tired of my top 3s and top 5s being occupied by mystery men. But now let's start looking at the other people like Cracker. Because genuinely, I think that he's an extremely powerful dude that doesn't get enough credit. Some people like to downplay him because of what happened against Kuzan, even though that's Kuzan plus he had Von Augur. Completely forgetting that even without his biscuit soldiers, Cracker himself can give Luffy a lot of trouble. Keep in mind, even Doflamingo with his awakening couldn't put any damage on Luffy in Gear 4. Yet Cracker with the armored sword swing can cut his arm and Luffy had to pull that thing right back. Not to mention he only lost to Luffy because it was Luffy and Nami, and then I'm not saying that Kuzan needed help, but it was a 2v1 with Von Augur and Kuzan versus him. So whatever the case may be, the narrative gives Cracker enough respect that they never fight this man 1v1. He can make an infinite army of soldiers. That would be a stupid thing to do. Next we'll look at Jack from Kaido's crew, and I'm not going to talk too much about him because I literally just made a video talking about all the stuff this man can do. But if you weren't there, let me just give you an easy rundown. This man is tank getting hit by like small city-sized trunks from Zunisha, fought Sulong armies and beat them by himself, and went up against 2 admirals and lived to tell the tale about it. So Jack is clearly, when it comes to endurance, better than everybody else on this list, and I don't even think it's a question. Next we'll look at Shanks' commander Yasopp, and we don't necessarily know who his third commander is. But going off of the few illustrations that we do have from Oda, like putting his crew side by side, we can see that Yasopp is in like the upper echelon, the 3rd slot, right behind Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo. So I'm kind of assuming that this man could be the 3rd commander. And when it comes to his feats, again, we don't know anything from him. So all we can do is say, look at Von Augur and what it is he can do. Sniping birds from over an island away. Can put 4 shots in somebody before they even finish their sentence point blank. Yasopp is at least as good, if not a little bit better than Von Augur when it comes to sniping. So observation hockey wise, I would probably say he is the best amongst this bunch of people. Next we'll look at Burgess because he seems to be the clear spot for the 3rd commander in the Blackbeard Pirates, even though we don't know like exactly where his seat lies. And while normally I probably would have put him at the bottom of this list, him having the strong fruit which allows him to pick up mountains very casually shoots him probably up to the highest level of strength amongst the 3rd commanders. Like he isn't the most durable one. That goes to Jozu. I wouldn't say he's the fastest one. I'd probably give that to Yasopp since his nickname is the Chaser. Not endurance because that goes to Jack, and not hand to hand because that goes to Jimbe. But when it comes to raw physical strength, I don't see any of these guys doing what he can do with his devil fruit. But speaking of him, we'll talk about Diamond Jozu because he's 100% the most durable 3rd commander of the bunch. If Mihawk is throwing sword slashes to test his might against Whitebeard and then Diamond Jozu can just get in the way and block that, send it to the sky, I don't think anybody else on this list can even scratch him. And I know I've heard some people say, well, Mihawk wasn't trying to cut him, so maybe that's why he didn't cut him. Look right here, Mihawk is surprised that somebody was able to do this. Jozu being able to do this was not Mihawk's expected result. And when it comes to strength, I would probably say he's the 2nd strongest on this list under Burgess, because look at him picking up this giant iceberg and look at the size of it compared to Marineford. If Akainu didn't use his devil fruit to melt through that thing, how many people do you think would have died just from Jozu doing this one move? Yeah, he's an absolute powerhouse. And last but not least, of course, we got Jimbe, who through his fight with Who's Who, we were able to see a lot of his skill and technique in battle. Like, I would probably say when it comes to just being a straight combatant, he's the best hand-to-hand fighter amongst the 3rd commanders. I don't think it's a question. But he's definitely not the most durable, because even with Haki, you can see that these Fang pistols from Who's Who, who's not even a commander in his own right, is able to hurt Jinbe's Haki. But with Fishman Karate, any hit that he lands on you is going to rupture the water inside of you. So he has, like, really great attack potency that borders on, like, internal damage. Other than Jozu and Jack, I don't see anybody else on this list being able to take hits from Jimbe consistently. He will fold them. But now that we've gone through all of these different commanders, how are we going to rank them from being the weakest to the strongest? So for me personally, I'm just going to put Gaban in his own little corner because we don't know anything about that dude. No feats, no statements. But of all these third commanders, I would definitely say that Yasopp has to be the weakest one. And that shouldn't come as a surprise, and that shouldn't, be taken as like a sneak diss. Because this dude is a sniper. He shoots people from a very long distance away. If Yasopp had to fight any of these people, like within 20, 30 feet, he's losing. And I think that is very obvious. After him, I would probably say that Cracker is like right above him, where he's way physically stronger than him, being Big Mom's child and all. But not only has he admitted that he is not like used to getting hit and taking damage, but after getting hit one good time from Tank Man Luffy, he was out cold. But it's because of his abilities that even getting Cracker to this point is very difficult, especially by yourself. After Cracker, I would definitely have Jimbe right there. Which may seem a little low for Jimbe, but there are a couple things you gotta remember about him. First thing being that when he was fighting Jozu, who's not a commander mind you, Jozu was able to pierce through his haki with Fang Pistol. If characters like Jozu can hurt Jimbe despite his haki, then honestly every other person on this list can hurt Jimbe in spite of his haki. So when it comes to durability, the people that are above him can just do way too much damage that even if he were to block it, he's taking a monstrous chunk. And those people I would say would be Jack, which should go without saying because endurance-wise, since he's an ancient zone, he has more than everybody else on this list. And again, being a fishman plus the ancient zone part, he would be the second most durable person on this list, right underneath Jozu. And while I would probably say Jimbe would win if we just have like a hand-to-hand fight with Jack, Jack is also a fishman, so even though we didn't get to see a lot of his fights play out, I'm pretty sure he knows fishman karate. So if anybody on this list could probably fight Jimbe and give him some trouble hand-to-hand, it would be Jack. But being an ancient zone, he has him beat in endurance, durability, and physical strength. This is just assuming that we're fighting on land though, because since Jack can't fight in the water, he can't use the full ability of his fishman karate the same way that Jimbe can. So if you want, you could probably put these two as like equal, they're interchangeable, because if you're fighting by the water, give it to Jimbe. If you're all fighting on land, I'm giving it to Jack. Next, I just got Burgess as the second strongest of all the third commanders, only because due to the strength fruit, nobody below him has necessarily shown the ability to be able to deal with the physical strength he has other than Jack. Like, if this dude is casually picking up mountains, I can see Jack getting hit with the force similar to Zunisha's trunk, like, several times in this fight. And I don't know if Jack can take many of those, And he's the ancient zone. So if Jack can't take him, everybody else in this list can't take him, except for one person. And that person is Diamond Jozu, who I have as the strongest third commander of them all. He has practically more experience than every other commander on the list, except for maybe Scopper, but we just not counting him right now. And even without a fruit that boosts his own physical strength, he can still output stuff like this on his own merits alone. So I would definitely say that Jozu having the strength to do stuff like this makes him way stronger and have the attack potency to hurt every single person below him. At that point, the only person that would be physically stronger than him would be Burgess. But even if Burgess is stronger, can Burgess hurt this man with his devil fruit despite the fact that Jozu was basically unbreakable? And I would just say if Mihawk couldn't do it, Burgess can't do it. So when it comes to ranking all of the third commanders, I got Scopper Gaban just off in his own world. Then starting from the bottom, we got Yasopp, then Cracker, then Jimbe or Jack, they're interchangeable. Fight by the ocean, Jimbe, fight on land, Jack. The second slot goes to Burgess due to his devil fruit giving him more strength than everybody on the list. And then Jozu's in first place because nobody else on this list can really hurt him, and he is still physically strong enough to put everybody down below him on a t-shirt. But if I missed something or I left something out, you can let me know down below.